Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome as we get set for Bellator MMA's return once again to WinStar World Casino and Resort. No doubt about it, one of our favorite venues. We were here back in March 3rd to be exact. Great to be back here once again as Miller Lite presents the weigh-ins for tomorrow night's Bellator MMA presented by Miller Lite, live and free on Spike. The prelim show is a can't miss. It is a stacked undercard for tomorrow night. Let's just say that up front for today so you catch it either live, make sure you're here early, or for those that you're joining us on the live stream and will not be here live for tomorrow night's event, you can catch it on Bellator.com. Again, the stacked prelims are undercard. First fights will get underway about 5:45 p.m. Central Time. Doors for those attending locally, 5 o'clock tomorrow night here at the Global Event Center. We'd like to say hello, by the way, to those that are joining us on the live stream. We welcome you to WinStar World Casino and Resort as Miller Lite presents the weigh-ins for tomorrow night's return to WinStar. On tomorrow night's card, it'll be headed in the main event by two lightweight contenders meeting for the third time. Girtz and Campos, they've split their first two meetings. The third and decisive match between them takes place tomorrow night. Also on the main card, an up-and-comer, Steve Garcia, takes on a two-division world champion for Bellator, Mr. Joe Warren. You know him well here at WinStar. Salter and Grove, middleweights, will square off inside the Bellator cage. We got a couple of great fights in the women's divisions. Cody and Middleton, two up-and-coming prospects as well, featured on tomorrow night's main card for Bellator MMA. Tickets available at Bellator.com for information, or if you're here on site, the Global Events box office right across the way. We'll have your ticket information for you. Today's weigh-ins, tomorrow night's action, all under the supervision of the Chickasaw Nation Gaming Commission. Gaming Commissioner, Mr. Scott Colberts. And thank you to the ladies and the gentlemen of the commission for joining us once again and overseeing the action tomorrow night. I'm Mike Williams, cage announcer for Bellator MMA, joined as always by the lovely Mercedes on stage for the weigh-in and cage side tomorrow night. Joining us on stage momentarily, the Vice President for Bellator, the matchmaker, the two-time Father of the Year, Rich Chow, will be on stage here momentarily. And to bring the fighters to the scale, let's do it now. One half of the broadcast team, the mainstay for the broadcast team for Bellator MMA, live and free on Spike. Please welcome Mr. Jimmy Smith.
Thank you so much. We'll start off with our preliminary card. Of course, check them out on Spike.com. We start out in the welterweight division. Will Florentino versus Jonathan Gary. First to the scale, fighting out of Fort Worth, Texas. Please welcome Will Florentino. Professional record of 5-4, 4 wins by submission. And 170.9 for Will Florentino. And his opponent, fighting out of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, please welcome Jonathan Gary. Record of 12-8-2, 7 wins by knockout, 3 by submission. $169.1 for Jonathan Gary. They'll kick it off for us. Will Florentino versus Jonathan Gary. Give him a hand. Moving on to the middleweight division, 185 pounds. It's Aaron Rodriguez versus Romero Cotton. First to the scale, fighting out of Lawton, Oklahoma. Please welcome Aaron Rodriguez. Making his pro debut. $184.8 for Aaron Rodriguez. And his opponent, fighting out of Hutchinson, Kansas, please welcome Romero Cotton. Also making his pro debut. 185.1 for Romero, Cotton. Let's give a hand to the middleweights, Aaron Rodriguez versus Romero, Cotton. Next up, the welterweights, 117 pounds. It's Camille Haley versus Logan Storley. First to the scale, fighting out of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Please welcome Camille Haley. Record of 7-4, 2 wins by knockout, 5 by submission. $170.1 for Camille Haley. And his opponent fighting out of Webster, South Dakota. Please welcome Logan Storley. Undefeated at 5-0, all of his wins by knockout. $170.3 for Logan Storley. It's Camille Haley versus Logan Storley. Give it up for him. Next up, another showdown in the welterweight division, 170 pounds. It's Andre Filo versus A.J. Matthews. First to the scale, all the way from Lisbon, Portugal. Please welcome Andre Filo. Professional record of 8-1, 7 wins by knockout, 1 by submission. $169.9 for Andre Filo. And his opponent fighting out of Carlsbad, California. Please welcome A.J. Matthews. Record of 8-6, 6 wins by knockout. Watch it, buddy. Hey, don't make your fight start early, all right, bro? All right, 169.9 for A.J. Matthews. Gonna be a great one at welterweight. Andre Filo versus A.J. Matthews. Next up, the featherweights, 145 pounds. It's Brittany Elkin versus Amanda Bell. First to scale, fighting out of Denver, Colorado. Please welcome Brittany Elkin. $146 for Brittany Elkin. And her opponent fighting out of Hubbard, Oregon. Please welcome Amanda Bell. Record of 4-4, 2 wins by knockout, 1 by submission. $144.2 for Amanda Bell. Let's give it up for the ladies. Brittany Elkin versus Amanda Bell. I don't give a shit. Keep going. Moving back to the welterweight division, 170 pounds. It's E.J. Brooks versus Guillermo Bomba. First to the scale, fighting out of Cahokia, Illinois. Please welcome E.J. Brooks. Record of 10-5, 1 win by knockout, 2 by submission. And it's 170.9 for E.J. Brooks. His opponent fighting out of Los Angeles, California. Please welcome Guillermo Bomba. Record of 9-3, 5 wins by knockout, 4 by submission. 169.2 for Guillermo Bomba. Let's give it up for the welterweights. E.J. Brooks versus Guillermo Bomba. Moving up the scale to the middleweight division, 185 pounds, it's Mike Rhodes versus Rafael Lovato Jr. First to the scale, fighting out of Waterloo, Iowa. Please welcome Mike Rhodes. Professional record of 10-4, 4 wins by knockout, 3 by submission. 185.2 for Mike Rhodes. And his opponent, fighting out of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, please welcome Rafael Lovato Jr. Undefeated at 5-0, 2 wins by knockout, 3 by submission. 185.6 for Rafael Lovato Jr. Let's give it up for Mike Rhodes versus Rafael Lovato Jr. Next up, a showdown in the featherweight division, 145 pounds. It's Tristan Thomason versus Justin Lawrence. First to the scale, fighting out of Sulphur, Oklahoma. Please welcome Tristan Thomason. 145.9 for Tristan Thomason. And his opponent, fighting out of San Diego, California. Please welcome Justin Lawrence. Record of 9-4 as a pro, 4 wins by knockout, 1 by submission. 145.6 for Justin Lawrence. Featherweights always deliver. Tristan Thomason versus Justin Lawrence, ladies and gentlemen. Moving up to the big boys, the heavyweight division, 265 pounds. Valentin Moldavsky versus Karl Seumanatafa. First to scale all the way from the Ukraine. Please welcome Valentin Moldavsky. Record of 5-1, 3 wins by knockout. 234.8 for Valentin Moldavsky. His opponent, fighting out of San Francisco, California, please welcome Karl Seumanatafa. Record of 10-7, 9 wins by knockout. $263.6 for Karl Seumanatafa. Let's give it up for the big boys. Valentin Moldavsky versus Karl Seumanatafa. Next up, a women's flyweight fight, 125 pounds. It's Katie Collins versus Bruna Vargas. First to the scale, fighting out of Branson, Missouri. Please welcome Katie Collins. Record of 6-2 as a pro, 4 wins by knockout, 2 by submission. 124.2 for Katie Collins. And her opponent all the way from Brazil, please welcome Bruna Vargas. Record of 2-1, 1 win by submission. 125 on the dot for Bruna Vargas. Let's give it up for the ladies, the flyweights, Katie Collins versus Bruna Vargas. Next up, the bantamweights, 135 pounds. It's Jordan Howard versus Johnny Marigo. First to the scale, fighting out of Jefferson City, Missouri. Please welcome Jordan Howard. Record of 9-3 as a pro, 3 wins by knockout, 4 by submission. 135 on the dot for Jordan Howard. And his opponent, fighting out of Derby, Kansas, please welcome Johnny Marigo. Undefeated at 4-0, 1 win by knockout, 2 by submission. $135.1 for Johnny Marigo. The bantamweights, Jordan Howard versus Johnny Marigo. Give him a hand. And our final preliminary fight in the welterweight division, 170 pounds, it's Guillermo Gomez versus Fernando Gonzalez. First to the scale, all the way from Jalisco, Mexico. Please welcome Guillermo Gomez. Making his pro debut. $169.4 for Guillermo Gomez. And his opponent from Monterrey, Mexico, please welcome Fernando Gonzalez. 1-0 as a pro, that 1 win by knockout. $170.5 for Fernando Gonzalez. It's our last preliminary, 170, Guillermo Gomez versus Fernando Gonzalez. On to the televised portion of our show. Of course, check us out on Spike. We start off in the bantamweight division, 135 pounds. Steve Garcia versus Joe Warren, first to scale out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. Please welcome Steve Garcia. Record of 7-1, 5 of those wins by knockout. $134.5 for Steve Garcia. And his opponent, fighting out of Monument, Colorado, please welcome Joe Warren. Record of 14-6, 3 wins by knockout, 2 by submission. That's what it said you do. I barely remember. 135.9 for Joe Warren. They'll kick it off for us. Steve Garcia versus Joe Warren, ladies and gentlemen. Next up, a female flyweight fight, Jessica Middleton versus Emily-Cody, first to scale from Wichita, Kansas. Please welcome Jessica Middleton. $125.9 for Jessica Middleton. And her opponent, fighting out of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, please welcome Emily-Cody. $124.4 for Emily-Cody. Let's give it up for him. Jessica Middleton versus Emily-Cody. Next up, the middleweights, 185 pounds. John Salter versus Kendall Grove. First to scale, fighting out of Wilmington, North Carolina. Please welcome John Salter. Record of 13-3, 7 wins by knockout, 6 by submission. 185 on the dot for John Salter. And his opponent, fighting out of Maui, Hawaii, please welcome Kendall Grove. 185.7 for Kendall Da Spida Grove. It's going to be a great fight, 185. John Salter versus Kendall Grove, ladies and gentlemen. And our main event, a catchweight, 158 pounds. It's Brandon Girtz versus Derek Campos. First to scale, fighting out of Denver, Colorado. Please welcome Brandon Girtz. 157.7 for Brandon Girtz. I want to weigh the dog now. Third time's the charm. You talked about I was on a streak last time, he was on a streak this time. I want to take his place in this fight. How do you do that?
Just go out there and beat me. It's going to be a war tomorrow.
And his opponent, fighting out of Lubbock, Texas, please welcome Derek the Stallion Campos. $155.4 for Derek Campos. You heard what he had to say about taking your place. It's going to be a war. You agree with that tomorrow night?
He ain't taking my place. I'm gonna do what I should have done last time. And like you said, it's going to be a war.
Two guys looking to move up at 155 pounds. Brandon Girtz versus Derek Campos, our main event. Give it up for him. Always a great crowd with great fans here in Oklahoma. We'll see you tomorrow night.
And we thank you so much for joining us today at the weigh-ins presented by Miller Lite Global Event Center right across the way. Tickets at the box office or Bellator.com for information. Doors will open tomorrow, 5 o'clock. A stacked prelim card begins 5:45, live and free. As always, on Spike, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 o'clock Central or local time. Thank you to those that have joined us in the live stream and those that have joined us here locally. We'll see you tomorrow night here at WinStar World Casino and Resort for Bellator MMA presented by Miller Lite.